What's up, Creative family? My name is Mojo, and I hope you've been enjoying our Worship and Creative Conference so far. Hey, whether you're a part of our Midnight Massive or any of the other great presentations that you've been a part of so far, we really hope that you've been experiencing God in and through this, and that you're excited for all that is still to come. Now, something I wanted to share is that when I was younger, a whole lot younger, my parents got me into dance. Yes, I am that guy. But more specifically, my parents got me into ballroom and Latin dance. And early on, what my dance teacher told me at the time is the relationship that the couple has to one another. And she's mentioned how the lady is like the picture, and me as the guy, I'm like the frame around the picture. And this really set the stage of how we are to relate to one another. And what I understood from that is that as the lady, she is meant to be the subject of attention. The main focus is meant to be on her. And my job is to actually present her in all her splendor and her beauty. And if I didn't do that, what I was doing essentially was actually just distracting from her being that focal point. Now, I don't know if you've ever walked into a space that's got all sorts of artwork and pictures that are around, and you walk into the space, you walk in and you see this particular picture or this particular art piece, and you actually are able to appreciate it for what it is. You're able to see it for what it is. And your gaze is fixated upon that particular thing, and you enjoy it for what it is meant to be enjoyed as. But then another scenario, you kind of find yourself in a space. Again, there's artwork that's being presented, but yes, you may see the picture that is there, but your attention is drawn rather to the frame that is around the picture. Now, when I've done a Google search of this, of these kind of ornate pictures, sometimes it's like, okay, cool, it's great to see that picture, but I'm more fascinated by what is going on with the very frame that is actually housing that picture. Let's consider what Jesus says in the book of John. Now, in John chapter 15 from verse 26, Jesus says the following. He says, "But when the Helper comes, whom I will send to you from the Father, the Spirit of truth, who proceeds from the Father, he will bear witness about me. And you also will bear witness because you have been with me from the beginning." Then in chapter 16, he goes on to say the following. He says, "When the Spirit of truth comes, he will guide you into all the truth, for he will not speak on his own authority, but whatever he hears, he will speak, and he will declare to you things that are to come. He will glorify me, for he will take what is mine and declare it to you. All that the Father has is mine. Therefore I said that he will take what is mine and declare it to you." Now, two things that I'd love to point to us as creatives in this particular segment is that the first thing is this: let us continually draw attention to Jesus. So the Holy Spirit, in this particular passage, we understand that he proceeds from the Father. And while he's a part of the picture, he's part of what we see is going on. He's an integral part of what God is doing on the earth. The Holy Spirit doesn't draw attention to himself. No, the Holy Spirit working in this space draws attention to Jesus. So Jesus is the main focal point, and the Holy Spirit is like the frame that presents Jesus in all his beauty and his splendor. So while he's in the line of sight of the beholder, yes, you know that he's there, but the person who's seeing what is happening or what he's presenting is actually drawn to who Jesus Christ is, and they're able to behold that thing. And kind of understanding what the Holy Spirit is doing, you know, us as creators, we have this really great opportunity of presenting Jesus Christ in our different formats, in our different contexts, through our different expressions of creativity, which is such a great privilege. But I wonder, in what we're doing, do we consider and wonder if we're presenting Jesus Christ in the best light, where he continues to be the central focal point in everything that we're doing, and merely what we're doing is a simple way of presenting him? We are that frame. Yes, people can understand and see that we are in the picture, but in essence, Jesus Christ is actually the focal point. Or can we maybe sometimes get into a space where we're so concerned about how we do things, we're so concerned about doing the nitty-gritty, the frills, and presenting really nice things, that it becomes more about the presentation than it is about the picture that is Jesus Christ that we are presenting. So again, let us continually draw attention to Jesus. The second thing that I would like to just maybe us to consider is this, is that let us lean on the Spirit in how best to present Jesus. Now, the Nairobi Statement on Worship and Culture pointed out 4 ways in which worship dynamically relates to culture. The first thing it says that worship is transcultural, in that no matter what culture you're in, no matter what context you're in, there are aspects of our worship that should be found in every single space. The second thing that it says is that worship is countercultural, in that every single context, every single culture has things about it which are contrary to the gospel. And the right experience of worship will come against those things, and in essence, these things are meant to be transformed. The third aspect is that worship is cross-cultural, in that every single culture, every single people group has something unique and beautiful about it, which it can contribute to the wider church body. And then the fourth thing, which is where I wanted to explore a little bit further, is that worship is contextual. In essence, we are meant to worship God in a manner that embraces who we are. Now consider this, Jesus is God incarnate. And when God inhabited our humanity, he clothed himself in the culture of the day. And in doing so, he transformed that culture from within. This is a beautiful image of how God embraced the context in which he presented himself. And so I wonder with us as creatives, when we present Jesus Christ, how are we considering the contextuality of what it is that we're doing? Do we understand the spaces in which we are presenting this Jesus Christ? Do we understand that the manner in which we present Jesus is meant to connect in a way that the person who receives him says, hey, I can receive this Jesus? The truth is, myself as an African man, my lived experience as an African man is perhaps different to somebody in another part of the world. And so how Jesus is packaged and presented to me, the picture of Jesus that is packaged and presented to me, perhaps needs to look a little bit different than what it is done for somebody else. So the frame that is used to present this picture that is Jesus Christ perhaps needs to look a little bit different than presented to somebody else. In the book of Acts, in Acts chapter 2, when the Holy Spirit fell in the upper room, the word says that, those that witnessed this whole thing unfolding before them, they marveled because they could hear God speaking in a language that they could relate to, in a manner that they could receive, because they were all from different cultures. And that's the thing, it speaks about God being accessible to who you are and each unique individual. And so I think us as creatives, we have the opportunity to consider the context in which we are presenting Jesus Christ and do things in such a manner that, hey, it doesn't have to look like something else. It doesn't have to look a particular way. We need to do it in a manner that says, hey, the space in which I am, what are those people about? Who are these people? And the truth of the gospel, how can I best present it in a manner that will speak the truth that is Jesus? And the only way that we can do that truly is to continue to lean on the Holy Spirit as he informs us of how best to package the message and the picture that is Jesus. So, hey, as we consider this, as we think about all this, understand that our job again is to draw attention to Jesus Christ. And as we continue to lean on the Spirit, may his fresh wind that is the Spirit truly blow into every single space in which we find ourselves and transform every single life. He truly is iphunga lezulu, that sweet, sweet fragrance of heaven.